Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Kez, also known as Chameleon Makeup, and today I'm going to be bringing you another makeup video. I'm going to be focusing on the independent brand Oden's Eye. Oden's Eye is an independent brand that's based in Sweden, in Stockholm. They say on the website that they're cruelty-free and that they're also vegan as well. The brand didn't pop up onto my radar until about a year ago, although I believe they have been making palettes before them. I just hadn't really recognised them. With them being abroad, because I'm in the UK, I never really bothered much to look into it. But I did find that they ship directly to the UK and worldwide. And not only that, but all the tax fees are included before. So when you pay at the checkout, everything's included so that you don't have to worry about extra charges when the products arrived. Obviously, you do pay a little bit more because of that, but the products are well worth it. And so today I'm going to be showing you my Oden's Eye collection, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the brand as we go. The first palette I got from Oden's Eye was from someone that I knew, so I bought it sort of second hand. They hadn't used it, it's brand new, so it's never actually been touched, but they bought it, didn't want it, passed it on to me. This is the Alva 2 Mini Ocean palette. A lot of their themes are based around Nordic mythology, which I think is lovely. This one is one of their mini palettes, so it's actually quite small. And it's got 5 shades in it. It's got Aqua Under the Sea, Blue Star and Jellyfish, Starfish and Golden Sand. And the middle one is a split colour, which is quite interesting to sort of get one that's got 2 in. And you can see that they're high foil shimmers. And then you've got the other shimmers there as well. In this palette, there is only one matte, which is this one at the end. But they do some that have more of a balance of the mattes and shimmers. So when I got it, I was quite impressed. I thought it was quite pretty. But as always, performance is more important. So I did a little swatch of it, and that's the matte. It shows straight the way. And then I looked at the colour next to it, shimmer. And then those high foil shines. You can see it's absolutely beautiful. So I was really impressed. And then the other 2 shades. So price point wise, you can pay anything from around about £15 up to about 37 for the palettes, depending on whether they're new, limited edition, how many pans they've got. They do tend to do bundle deals where you can buy, for example, there's a set of 3 influencer palettes that they've collaborated with various Instagram influencers. And by buying in bulk, you obviously get them a little bit cheaper. But when I saw that, I thought, that's really impressive. You sometimes see indie brands and you wonder what the quality is going to be like, but I always say don't write them off just because they're not a huge brand. You do find as well that independent brands, and this is not a slight on bigger brands, but because they're starting out, they do tend to put a lot more thought into it. So after I bought that, I was intrigued, so I went back and got the other Alva 2 palette. This is the larger one here, but this colour story really spoke to me. I think the shades are absolutely beautiful in it. You've just got so many nice shades in here. Again, that is the blue, and you hardly have to touch the product to get any sort of pigment off it. I will say they do work well on the eyes as well, and I will show that a little bit later. But this is probably one of my favourite colour stories. I'm not going to swatch everything just because of how many of them I've got. The other one I got was the Norns eyeshadow palette. That's from their other collection that they released. And again, the colour story really spoke to me. Although I am finding that I'm getting some outside of what I would usually buy, just because the quality of the shadow is brilliant and it's letting me use more colours. They did one after that, which was the hummingbird one. I think this one might be discontinued now, I'm not sure. But the packaging is always absolutely beautiful. You get a lot of metallic sort of foil detail on there that you can see up here, which is really pretty. And even the logo here is in metallics. But the colour story is beautiful in these palettes. It seems like there's a lot of work that goes into them. They all seem to have a mirror in them as well, which is good. I think that's quite useful when you're moving around, and if you're going away, it's handy to take the palettes. If they've got a mirror, it does make it easier. I mean, obviously there's always the risk of them smashing, so you have to be a little bit more careful. But I do like having a mirror in my palette. This is one of their newer collections. There was 3 in this set, and these are the ones that I said were based around influencers. So the first one was Planet Spirit, and this was a collaboration with Betty Jean, also known as Batty Bean. I absolutely love her. She's a fantastic influencer, and I really like the makeup, and she's into the same sort of colour schemes as me. and I thought that was really pretty. Now some of them you can see on here, they look a little bit like the glitter, but they're not. They are actually like a high shine formula, and they really do beam, because at first I was a little put off thinking that they'd be glitters. There's nothing wrong with glitters, but I don't find they're easy to work with, and I find they're quite messy. I prefer them to be in that sort of pressed formula where it's more of a fine milled shadow. And the other one I managed to get was the Sea Talk one, which is this one. Beautiful colours again, sort of my kind of colour story. This one was a collaboration with Lauren, and they've done one more, but I don't have that one. This collection is still available, so if you were thinking of trying the brand, these are one of the palettes that you would be able to still purchase. And then suddenly Oden's Eye got a lot bigger last Christmas, and the reason for that was they released a limited edition Christmas set of eyeshadow palettes. One was called the Christmas Eve palette, and one was called the Merry Christmas palette. Soon as I saw them, I wanted them, but with it being near to Christmas, I didn't have a lot of money, so I held off, and I thought what I will do is after Christmas I'll pick those up. No, that did not happen. They literally sold out. It was so quick and so fast that a lot of people didn't have a chance to purchase them, and everyone was devastated because these palettes were raved about everywhere and they were just not available. So for the next year, everyone who had an Instagram account practically was harassing Oden's Eye in the comments and asking them, please bring these palettes back. And they did. They listened to their followers, which I think is really good, that brands do actually pay attention to what followers want, and they bought them back. So this time I snapped them up. There was a set of 4, the 2 new ones and the 2 ones from last year, which were re-released. The minute they hit the market, I purchased them, and I'm really glad I did, because before we've even got to the end of Christmas 23, they're sold out again, and now you can't get them. Whether they'll bring them back again next year, I don't know. I know a lot of people have been disappointed again that they missed out, so I thought I'd at least show you them so that you could see what they look like. So this one is the Merry Christmas palette that they released. The packaging was beautiful. They do come in these sleeves, and I have kept the sleeves on these ones because they're so nice. Most of the time I just throw the sleeves away. It's the Merry Christmas palette, and you can see why it's popular, because it's really pretty. Now I will say that if you can't get hold of this palette, you might be able to get some very similar shades in some of the other palettes. For example, if you look in this palette here, you've got the shade Familiar, and while it's not identical, it is close enough that you could probably use it as a dupe. So if you purchase some of their other palettes, you will get some shades that are a little bit similar, but it's not the same as having them in this beautiful colour story that's there. And again, the pigment is lovely. You can see that I managed to break that one, but I did repair it. That was my own fault. It was packaged really well, but I dropped it. But look at that formula. It's amazing. Really cannot fault their formula enough. It's absolutely stunning. And I think that's what keeps people coming back to the brand. It's just this amazing formula. But unfortunately, these palettes are sold out. So you might think, what's the point of showing them? They did re-release them this year, and they might do again next year as well. And this is the Christmas Eve one, which I haven't actually touched yet. But it's absolutely stunning. I'm kind of not really wanting to touch it either, just because I can't get it again. But that's a bit silly. I don't buy palettes to just not use them, so I will use it, but I'm kind of waiting for a special occasion. So I'm really glad I got them. These are the 2 from this year, so I will show you the new ones. These are still available, so if you like these palettes, go and grab them before they sell out. This is called a Snow Dream, and again, it's got the same beautiful packaging. The colour stories are a little, what I would say, maybe lighter than last year's. If you look at the colours in here, they are lighter. They're not quite as vibrant in terms of the reds and things, but I do think they're a beautiful complementary palette as well. I've seen people do looks with these palettes and they look absolutely stunning. So I'm looking forward to getting to use that. The reason these haven't been used is they were purchased and they arrived, but because they were expensive, they were part of a money for a birthday present, and my birthday's only just gone, so they've sat there unused because it's been my birthday and I was waiting for it. And then here, this is the other one. Now this one is called Hey Reindeer. They come with free scarves as well, which are really adorable. They're like silk scarves. You could use them as headbands. You could use them just as collector's souvenirs. I'm sure there's many ways in which you can use the scarves. You can even use them as ties, but they're really, really pretty. I saw someone do a look with this one today, and it's literally holographic, and that's called Christmas Ham, which is really pretty. Again, absolutely beautiful palettes, both of them. I'm not sure which one's my favourite out of them. Probably the Hey Reindeer, just because I think the colour scheme speaks more to me in that sense. It doesn't mean that I don't like Snow Dream, and I will use it, but they are just slightly different. I'm going to show you them side by side now. So these are both of this year's, and you can see that they're absolutely beautiful. And if you look, there's not really a lot of similar shades. There are some that have a slight tinge, say for example of brown, and you've got the gold, but the shades themselves are not the same in any way. The closest that's the same is this one here, and then that at the bottom there you've got the bells there and frankincense. But when you actually have the palette in person, frankincense is kind of like a duochrome, so it does actually change shades. It's kind of like a silvery greeny colour, whereas bell is more of a brown. So side by side they do look very different. I think it's probably better to show it that way, because you can see then, look, that one's more of a greeny blue shade and that one is more brown. That's the only way I can get the cameras to pick it up. If the question in your mind is, do I really need both, the answer is yes. Yes, you do. I will show you the other two as well side by side from the previous year. And one thing that I'm going to try and do now I actually own the palettes is I'm going to look around in my makeup collection and see if I can do a reasonable dupe. So you basically get your collection and try and replicate it. So it's not a copy, it's not a fake, it's just a replication of the colours. And I'm going to try and do that for you, so that if anyone has missed out, they can at least make their own colour stories based on it until it gets re-released again. These are the two from the year before. You can see why these ones sell out faster and why they're special, because they're just amazing. Probably my favourite palettes ever. And to be honest, the price point wasn't too bad. In UK pounds, I paid £120 before the postage. So that's a £30 per palette, which, considering I think they're 36 each, I think was really reasonable for all 4 palettes. Yes, it's a lot all at once, which is why I used birthday money, because I knew I'd got birthday coming in December and I always get some. The final ones I've got to talk about are the Halloween ones. Again, they released a limited edition Halloween ones. I'm not sure if these are still available. They were last time I checked, but that might change because I didn't look today. So the first one was the Little Ghost palette, and again, the artwork on this is absolutely beautiful. And that's just the outer sleeve. And then you've got the same artwork replicated on the palette. Again, I've actually kept the artwork because it's so beautiful. On the back, I forgot to mention, you do get a rundown of the shades as well. Look at that. That is beautiful. I really, really love that colour scheme. And it's got these little embossed symbols in it as well, which is sort of Halloween-y. My personal favourite out of the two was the Trick or Treat palette, this one here. I like the cover art from the Little Ghost palette better, but I like the colour scheme in here better. They are just amazing. You can't really say anything bad about any of these shades. This one hasn't got the spider logo on, which I'm kind of glad about because I don't like spiders, but it does have a little skull and crossbones, and it's still got a little pumpkin. So you can see now why I like the brand so much. Again, this video isn't sponsored in any way. The only reason I'm showing you this is because of how much I like the brand. And I want people to be able to find brands that are reliable, so that when they get the makeup, they get excited and not disappointed. Because I think there's nothing worse than having makeup, getting it, and just not liking it and not being happy with it. That being said, we're going to move on, and I'm going to do a little look with these palettes just so that you can see what they look like. With it being Christmas, I'm going to do a Christmas look, which is why I have a green lip. It's not something I walk around in on a daily basis. Now I'm just going to do a little look with the Merry Christmas palette just to show you what it's capable of. I'm going to take my fluffy brush and go into the Christmas tree shade, which is a really dark green. This is a P. Louise brush, just in case you wondered. It's very fluffy, It's also quite big. So if you want to cover a lot of the eye corner in one go, it's a good one. If you want it more subtle, probably go for a smaller brush. It's really nice if you just want to put a dark smoky eye in the corner though. There isn't a lot of fallout from these shadows, and you can tell that they're very pigmented. You don't need a lot of product, which I think is a good thing in a palette. I'm going to take a brush now with a slight bit of an angle, just so that when I pull it along there it blends in. And I'm going to use Best Wish now, which is the lighter green. There is a few similar shades to this palette in the Martine Cosmetics Ski de Fay one from last year. So if you can get hold of that and pick it up anywhere, you will be able to get very similar shades. It's definitely got the matcha green shade in there that's in this palette, because I've seen it. And I think it's got a couple of other similar shades. It's not a replica exact, but it has used some of a similar colour story. And I have got that palette as well. I have got a video upon that if you wanted to have a look, just so that you could see that the shades are quite similar. I think I did mention also in the video that I thought the shades were quite similar. So that's just blended in the two greens. This shade is quite surprising. This is called Elf Wish. It looks green in the pan, but it's actually quite red. So it does duochrome between green and red, but it's got a really nice red shimmer to it. So that is what I'm going to pop on there. I'm not going to put it in the very corner. I'm just going to pop it on the line between the two shades and just a little bit over as well, just so that it shimmers but doesn't overwhelm the eye look, especially with it pulling quite a lot on that red. Looking at it in the pan, you probably wouldn't think about duping that shade because you'd be looking for a green, and it's not. It has got green in it, but it's got a lot of red in there as well. I just added a couple of cluster lashes just to the corner of the eyelashes, just so that they look a little bit more wide. I think it gives a nicer little Christmas appearance. And the final thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take a bit of that greeny and apply it to the lip. But because it's so red, I'm going to take a bit of the Jingle Bell shade as well, and a little bit of the New Year shade, which is actually green. Blend them all in together. And there you have a Christmas look using the Oden's Eye Christmas palettes. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you do, please give me a like and subscribe so that you can see other future videos, and I'll be showing some more makeup brands as well. I've got a shipment coming from America with some new makeup in it from the Black Friday sale, so I'll be doing an unboxing video of that. So please come back for more videos, and I'll see you again. Thanks for watching.